This is about writing, and I believe that as soon as I started reading again, the desire to write came back, right? There's always that need to express. Like yesterday, I just wrote 2 small texts, or 3, related to the ideas that we have learned off the internet, and used language to just dig further, right? In terms of art. But the thing I was writing was actually related to the gay group. There was a gay person complaining about the new generation of queer people, queer woke. I think that's how they refer to them. So I thought that there was another video about linguistics, a guy making fun of linguistics and it's using language learning. And I was trying to to write a text, and I seem to have reduced it to its bare minimum to try and make a point, relate. I was trying not to defend linguistics, but maybe say that linguistics unlocks certain... It's not just about... I was not trying to defend, because that was not the point. The guy was just... It's a purpose misinterpretation. It was a comedic approach. Apology for any misuse of words. It felt almost like it was complete, the text. About the queer woke TikTokers, people on TikTok behaving funny. As I was watching the Birdcage, and I playing with the ideas. So when I watch the Birdcage, sometimes you go into a movie and say, look, I'm going to play with this set of ideas to see if the movie fits the narrative. And once everything starts fitting, you just see another movie. That was the whole thing of idea of the two... the younger generation of characters, they're aliens, and they're eating the reality of their parents. That was a way of... That's in that version of like an underlying structure will be expressed through images in the way they construct, in the way they put people on the screen, right? Val at some point is at the forefront. I don't want to deep into this because there's so many examples. That's not the point. Whatever that text in the past was trying to accomplish, the objective to, there was a thing that they were there. They were real. They're not faking. That's the whole thing. We all think it's attention seeking. There's probably that kind of attention seeking right there. It's something that exists in there, right? If you can think of a hunger, you can think of... Right, I don't want to deep into these ideas again, because alien creatures in movies are usually depicted around eating food. Right? There's so much, I don't want to talk. Think about Scarlet O'Hara eating that carrot, right? When she's back to Tara. There's a lot of things that you notice in movies. It was just to talk about this idea that seemed to match the Birdcage. And the idea that the new generation will basically destroy, in a sense, right? There's an apocalyptic meaning that there. And let me just take this off my chest. In the Birdcage, there are images, there's a whole apocalyptic narrative underlying there too, that makes it even funnier. Like to see how their world, both the parents and that will just crumble. And you see how, the most beautiful, and you see how they're creating that in terms of color. That is like, it's a very intense experience with the movie. So in the new queer, the queer woke, it seems that their boundaries are very loose. Like when they want to be called, they demand respect. They want to be called by different pronouns at different times of their moods, right? At different time of day. So it felt like it feels very alien to us. Let's just use the word strange. Let me just try to tie a knot. I was thinking before, prophetic. Birdcage is very prophetic, but some people like to use the word prophetic when they want to praise a movie. Like that's another quality, very prophetic. This movie is prophetic. Yes, it's prophetic in terms of, if you see, there's a new generation there, right? Let's not call them aliens. They're Val and Barbara. A new generation that will be different from their parents. They live in a different universe that they created, which will be their union. And that will both, is not hitting just the traditional side, right? The conservative. It's hitting the gay world. And now this new generation is born in a new world. What they're doing, right? This is not just a queer woke. That with time, this will just prosper. I believe, right? Think of today's world standards of life. They're not like they used to be back in the days. Back in the days, it's all male oriented. It's always like this, but it changes, it evolves. So I think what Birdcage is just Birdcage, right? In 78, I'm not talking about 97. In 78, it tapped in this. And if you don't need to be too philosophical about that. You just need to observe how the shock between generations happen, put that in a LGBT environment with every element of the drag, the gay, and you have like a prophetic movie, right? That woman who presented was talking about the queer woke generation of TikTokers. She's talking today exactly that, right? That clash of generations is very simple in its thought, but it becomes prophetic in the sense that if you jump 50 years on, that clash of generations will continue to exist. Things are different, and it's just becoming faster with this sharing of knowledge. That's why they call woke, I guess, these people. It's a bit too shocking for us, right? And that's it. It reminds me just to try and finally tie a knot in terms of language, right? Like when there was I saw on Facebook a text on how people's heart skipped a bit when they heard a different accent, or when they heard grammatical errors in a language, right? Probably very observable errors. And so they reacted with certain apprehension, let's just say skipped a bit. It was not just like a fake, a show of superiority on a social setting, right? There was an experiment on that. And I tried to approach that in that sense, saying, is that that fear, is that the normal fear that everyone has of the different, of the unknown subjects, or deep in too much? That's so... It can go into such an interesting way, right? So that fear when we see these woke ideas that seem to be too on the extreme as well, right? If makes us a bit threatened, I think, right? Threaten our certain standards that we have, certain ideas that we have, certain values. We're afraid that the crumbling, right? The idea of crumbling world. It's very life-threatening for a person. It's like a punch in the gut, like a straight parent or the gay parents finding out that the straight son is going to marry, that he's straight and that's real, right? It's not just a phase, something like that. Same thing with Barbara. They want to treat her like a doll and they want to prepare her future, but once her future is set with Val, the parents' world is going to crumble. Again, you have that underlying apocalyptic message there.